Hello, this is Brian. Today is Sunday, October 24th, 2021. I am here parked along Table Mountain Road, which just comes up from Angeles Crest Highway. So I'm back in my Angeles National Forest, beautiful San Gabriel Mountains, on a spectacularly beautiful late October morning. Well, actually, I originally had a hike planned this morning to go all the way to the San Jacintos and hike Lion Peak, but I just couldn't get my butt up early enough. So what I might do is take a hike along 4N21 right here. I might go over to this one relatively lesser known peak called Mount Peltier, which is about also known as Peak 7473. So that's the elevation of it. So you can see here, you got Angeles Crest Highway snaking its way up and over the mountains here. Let's look over towards Jackson Flat. That's Peak 7600. Of course, that's Mount Powell way up there. Peak 7547. A lot of little random peaks in the area. But this one will require a little bit more than just a short little walk. It's not a super long hike. I think it's about 4 miles or so. I'm going to take that Forest Service road over there, because I was going to try it from a different way down on Angeles Crest Highway about a year or two ago. But that area, there was a gate that said no trespassing. There was a trail that led up from there, but doesn't look like that would have been a viable option. It would have actually been a little bit longer hike with more elevation gain. So I'm going to try from here. I suspect that I'm about 6,008. I mean, no, more than that. Probably about close to 6,900, 7,000 feet from here. Well, I guess I'll get ready to start heading off. After I get my little stretch in here. Yeah. Take a ride up Angeles Crest. The fall colors are really coming in, especially on the black oaks. Really coming in nicely right now. See, this leads up towards Table Mountain High, one of the Mountain High ski resorts and disc golf. Beautiful views over here. I guess I'll get ready to start hiking. See how this goes. See what kind of views we get at the top. Kind of curious. There's 4N21. Yep, beautiful flannel bush. Haven't seen a lot of that, especially last week in the Kern River Canyon, the base of the Sierras. There's a lot of flannel bush there too. Last week, I still have a lot of video up to upload. Really didn't upload all of it yet from when I was in the southern Sierras, and still got more plant videos to upload. Got a few more spotlight videos and general adventure videos. Not really hiking based. It was basically like a sightseeing weekend. I just had to get out of town. But yes, our local mountains really have it going on too. Yeah, mountain high ski area. You see the fall colors, mostly black oak, showing up right now. Quite impressive. Of course, a lot of the planted ornamental trees in Wrightwood are really lit up. They got a lot of Freeman maple planted there, and they're lit up in brilliant, and even crimson red colors. So I'll say it again. It's my favorite season of the year. I really made sure to make it out this time. Usually last October I didn't make it out as much. So I'm trying to make it happen now. I presume this is going to be mostly paved the way to the summit. I've seen another person's video on YouTube about hiking Mount Peltier from that very big turnout that I was just at. Well, this one's going to keep going along, and I'll see you on the next clip. Hello, this is Brian. So, getting pretty close to the summit of Mount Peltier. Didn't shoot any video in between. Not because the scenery is bad, but got into some pretty neat conversations with some other hikers. Two nice people named Terry and Carol, and they live in Rancho Cucamonga. So I was kind of a little more focused on conversing with them. But since they've turned around to head back down the mountain, I'll do more of my filming on the way down today, so I don't miss the rest of the scenery. I'm gonna be honest, coming up this mountain is gorgeous, beautiful. I have to shoot more video on the way down, but basically just following this fire road. There's one spot where, if I remember correctly, the pavement splits off in two. You're going to bear right to keep going uphill. It's a pretty easy hike to get up and up here. It's probably only going to be about 500 feet. Getting close to the summit right now. So, since I was a little more engaged in some really interesting conversation, really didn't take a lot of video on the way up. So, this will be a hike where I do most of my filming on the way down. So let's see, getting close to the summit of Mount Peltier. Nice old pinyon pines up here too. The other group that was coming down, their dog was acting a little aggressive. The other group, there's another group man, his wife, girlfriend, on their bikes. That's what that little bit of commotion was. Kind of pointing away from them. I don't know if they'd appreciate showing up on video. Try to be respectful when I'm out filming. So it's basically just this paved road all the way up. This last bit's a little bit steeper, but for the most of the way up, it's very gentle, easy grade. It's a little more than 2.5 miles to get up to the summit, so it'll be a little bit more than 5 miles round trip. All right. Just about to summit Mount Peltier. Finally. Wanted to come up here for a long time. So here we are, communications tower, part of the Table Mountain facility. Table Mountain itself is, well, probably be able to see it from the summit. It's over that way, a 7,516 foot peak, but here we are, just about to crown Mount Peltier. Here we are, Mount Peltier summit, 7,473 feet. Let's see if there's it's an old benchmark, I think. Old benchmark or old survey marker. So this is it, Mount Peltier. Then we get the steep drop down Table Mountain Ridge. Leads down to the Mojave Desert. Quite a sight up here. Probably have to move around the facility a little bit to get good photo ops. I will admit though, it's pretty nice up here. Wow. You do get some nice perspectives. You can see the Cajon Pass is still clouded in from that real thick layer of marine layer clouds that went really far inland. All right. Okay, so from here, I can hear my echo. It's bouncing off the buildings. Right over there is the main Table Mountain facility right there. It's where they have the astronomical observatory. Then the campgrounds, maybe about a half mile or a mile behind it. I can see, obviously, very good clear views of Mount Baden-Powell. Then you got Blue Ridge and its glory, all sprawled out in front of us, including, right there, Wright Mountain at 8,505 feet. Believe it or not, that's the highest elevation I've hiked at this year. All those spotlight videos and those little poke around videos I did in the Sierras last week, a lot of those were at higher elevation than that. Especially the one where I did a spotlight on Red Fir, the spotlight on Western White Pine, and a little meadow area walkabout. I don't consider that hiking. That's just me rambling a little bit. So my highest hike and my highest peak climb was right there. That was back in June. Then we got Pine Mountain, the pointy one right there. Beautiful Pine Mountain. Never forget the time I went up there. It's just absolutely stunning mountain peak. So actually, it's got some of the nicest scenery in the San Gabriels. And then you can see the very top of Mount San Antonio and West Baldy. Mount San Antonio being the only 10,000 plus foot peak in the awesome San Gabriels. And then looking out towards the Tehachapi's, all covered in low clouds. Low clouds are covering up a lot of the Tehachapi's, the Scoties. So you won't even be able to see the Sierra Nevada today because it's there's a lot of overcast out towards that portion there. But yeah, up here, Mount Peltier. Finally made it up here. I've been wanting to come up here for a couple of years. Actually for a good few years. So I'm just gonna go walk around and kind of just poke around a little bit, see the other sites around here. I mean the asphalt road's a little steep in spots. A couple spots, especially as you get closer towards the top here, you'll get some higher on this higher terrain. You'll get some steeper areas, but all in all, it's a pretty easy hike. I was able to maintain a really good pace, and I'm still, not in the best of shape in the world, but even a beginner can do this 5.25 mile hike without any problems. Honestly, the way up went by really fast. Well, look at this. Absolutely beautiful up here. Here's good old Table Mountain. And again, Mount Baden-Powell. So, like I said, I'm going to be doing most of my filming on the way down. Because, like I said, I was kind of busy chopping it up with some people. So my next clip will be down where it's very nicely forested. There are some beautiful Jeffrey pine stands along this area of Table Mountain Ridge. That's what I call this. You got Table Mountain, Mount Peltier, and then over that way is East Table Mountain, which I did a hike up there back in December 2019. That was a really neat day too. So Table Mountain Ridge is really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff here. And there's some nicely changing black oaks further down too. Not so much higher up here. I mean, well, there are a few down there, but I'll tell you, this is a beautiful hike. People might not be too crazy about the radio towers, and there's a small astronomy facility down there. Sorry if I made the camera kind of shake a little bit. I guess I was scratching my elbows a little itchy. But here we are. Back in my hometown, my home team mountain range, San Gabriel's. Which should also include the Santa Ana's, because that's even closer to my home. But this is one of my home team mountain ranges, and I'm glad to be back in my local mountains. Love being in the Sierras. Love being in the Breckenridge mountain area. But I also really love being in my local San Gabriel's. Here we are. Well, I'm gonna shoot a few photos because there's quite a bit to see here. So I'll see you on my next clip, which will actually be down the hill. Hello, this is Brian. Today is Sunday, October 24th, 2021. I am near Mount Peltier, which is a mountain peak along Table Mountain Ridge, just east of Table Mountain, where the observatory site is. and today I want to film a spotlight on shrubs. Today's spotlight is on a high elevation version of the Great Basin sagebrush, which is Artemisia tridentata. This subspecies is called mountain sagebrush, Artemisia tridentata subspecies vasiana. It is a small to sometimes quite moderately decent sized shrub. It's an evergreen member, in other words, persistent leaf member of the sunflower family, the Asteraceae, and it's quite a common fixture, especially on drier mountain slopes. And you can see here, you get these long inflorescence stalks. These are the flowers, the late summer, early fall flowers of Artemisia tridentata, and of course up here being subspecies vasiana. And the inflorescences are quite large, and they have these really inconspicuous miniature flower heads that are kind of discoid, so they don't really put off a lot of brilliant yellow color, but the inflorescence itself is quite noticeable because it's very erect. It's kind of like a panicle, very erect and somewhat branched. And it being named a sagebrush connotes that it has a very, very aromatic scent. And yes, it does. So the leaves for mountain sagebrush are basically the same as your regular sagebrush, your regular basin sagebrush, as that they are three-lobed at the tip. Now the leaves are kind of small, so it's going to be kind of hard to get really close detail. The lower you go on the plant, the larger the leaves usually are. That tends to be true in a lot of Asteraceae. I probably mentioned that on other videos. Let's see if I can get some detail in on here. It's going to be kind of hard, but if you look closely, the lobes, the teeth, there are like three teeth at the end, or three mini lobes at the edge of the leaves. And you can see the leaves are kind of jagged on the tip. So three-lobed leaves. It's pretty typical for Artemisia tridentata. Now, subspecies vasiana is typically a higher elevation variety or subspecies. We are at about 7,400 feet in elevation right now, and they can grow even significantly higher than this. And I believe they can go down to about 6,000 feet, I believe, maybe lower in colder spots. But they like to be where it's sunny, cold during the winter, warm and exposed during the summer, and fairly dry. They're very drought-tolerant plants. And the most exposed sites, they're quite low-growing, as you can see here. So you do get your fair amount of smaller plants, and you get your fair amount of more medium and sometimes larger specimens. I've seen them get up close to my head before. And you're going to see these a lot, again, in sunny exposures, especially in open stands of pinyon juniper woodland, open jeppery pine forest, where there's more sunshine reaching the ground, and a lot of times along roadsides, disturbed areas, they are quick to colonize those, and mountain meadows. After a rainfall, especially during the warmer months of the year, the essential oils that create that sagebrushy smell will be very prominent in the air. And it's a very sharp, very pungent, very clean aroma. Very clean, very refreshing aroma, which can get overpowering when you get warm summer rains. I've driven through mountain country and seen this, or smelled it, after a summer rain, and it's very, very, very pungent. So, one thing about Artemisia tridentata as a general species is that they start off relatively brittle and herbaceous when they're very young, but unlike a lot of Asteraceae, shrubs and subshrubs in Asteraceae, they develop quite a bit of woodiness a little bit earlier in their life. Now a lot of shrubs, like golden bushes and stuff like that, rabbit brushes, they'll develop their woodiness only on the very lowest portion of their branches and trunks. But the woodiness on mountain sagebrush comes a little bit higher up, towards even the upper portions of the branches. So the only softer tissue is basically found in the upper edges of the twigs. And mountain sagebrush, including other subspecies of Artemisia tridentata, form very woody, gnarly trunks with age. And their bark is very shreddy. It's kind of brownish gray. And their trunks can get quite large for what you'd expect on a smaller shrub. Very contorted and twisted. So I imagine these can have quite a bit of longevity. And this is a prime example of their habitat. This is mostly single-leaf pinyon woodland with occasional Jeffrey pine, lots of Fremontodendron californicum, California flannel bush, very common in this stretch up here. Again, here you got Pinus monophylla, single-leaf pinyon. You got Ceanothus greggii, desert ceanothus. It's another common associate, as well as related plants like rabbit brush in the genus Ericomeria, and a lot of Asteraceae subshrubs as well. So mountain sagebrush is very common along this Forest Service road. So I'm going to be hiking back down. I also have a video set on Mount Peltier. This is the mountain I'm on right now. I also have a video set for the hike, so be on the lookout for that. But right now I want to focus on this awesome shrub. So later on, towards later in fall, their flower heads become seed heads, and then the seed should start crumbling out and sprinkling the ground. So here's another associated plant commonly found, and this is Cercocarpus ledifolius variety intermontanus, curly Cercocarpus, more Ceanothus greggii, and more rabbit brush. And then in some places you'll even find high desert cacti, like Echinocerius mohavensis, Echinocerius triglochitinatus, Opuntia fiacantha. Especially if you go to the San Bernardino Mountains, where high elevation cactus plants are actually more common. I haven't seen any here in San Gabriel's yet. Hopefully one day, maybe I'll get lucky. And then, since we're at elevation, greenleaf manzanita is another common associate, and that's Arctostaphylos patula. As you can see, along this roadside here, since this area was disturbed to make these roads, makes prime habitat for Artemisia tridentata, subspecies bassiana. So you'll see a lot of that plant along the way up here, and here in the higher San Gabriel Mountains, here in eastern LA County, you'll get quite a few of these specimens showing up. I want to see if I can find one that has a really girthy trunk on it. I haven't seen so many of them up here, but I have seen some here in the San Gabriels that have some really gnarly trunks on them, and they're quite picturesque. When they get old, these plants can get very picturesque. I mean, they're really cool looking as they're small, but when they get larger and they get closer up to your head, they can be quite an interesting sight. Here's a slight example of it right here. Let me move this manzanita out the way just a little bit. That old twisty trunk. And their trunks can get quite thick, several inches wide. So this is actually a good time to see them. Here we go. Here's more exposed trunks. Here are more exposed trunks right here. They can get much larger than that. And you'll see sagebrushes dotting this open Jeffrey pine forest here too. That's another common thing to see. I briefly mentioned earlier, but you'll see a lot of sagebrush and Jeffrey pine forest up and down all these mountains here in California. Seen it in the Sierra Nevada, seen it in the Scotty Mountains, seen it here, of course, San Bernardino Mountains. A lot of our mid and higher level mountain ranges host quite a few scores of this plant. So I'm going to go to this just going to take a quick little detour here. Well, here's a taller sagebrush here. Here we go, a little bit taller. They can get up to about your head, maybe even slightly taller. Maybe even slightly taller, actually. There are occasions where mountain sagebrush gets quite tall. Here we're getting a little taller here, right here on the edge of the road. These are quite interesting looking plants. And in the coastal and near coastal foothills of Southern California and Central California, I believe, as well, we also have its relative Artemisia californica. I know I've mentioned that on my lower elevation hikes in the coastal and foothills. And they can get quite similar in size and stature, and they can also get these pretty gnarly woody trunks as well. So they can get quite picturesque as well. And it's a relative. The only thing is, though, leaves are often three-lobed as well, but the lobes are very narrow and linear, almost like needles. And they don't feel like it because they're very soft. Their leaves are very narrow and their lobes are very narrow. But you can see here, this open stand of Pinus Jeffreyi over here. A lot of that, a lot of the small shrubs, those are sagebrushes. So when you're in middle and higher mountain terrain, especially these open dry stands of woodlands and forests, make sure you take some time out to gently rub a leaf and appreciate the beauty of this shrub, Artemisia tridentata subspecies vasiana. That's going to be it for my spotlight on shrubs. It's time for me to get a little something to drink because I'm getting a little thirsty, and I'll see you on another spotlight coming soon, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Hello, this is Brian. Welcome to another clip of my Mount Peltier hike. So like I said, I'm going to be doing more of my filming on the way down. And as you'll see these little dots that'll mark a quarter mile. So, and then you'll see two lines meaning 2 miles, and that's from where we're parked at the junction of Table Mountain Road and 4N21. So basically, when you're hiking up this, you're just following the dirt. Well, I think there are dirt roads that get up here. But when you're hiking this way from Table Mountain, or the way I went, we're just following the paved road that leads up to the top. That's all you have to do. There are a lot of dirt roads in this area. You can see a dirt road here on the west slope of Mount Peltier, which I just left just back up there. And I'm just enjoying a very leisurely descent. There's a little bit of undulation along this hike, so you have some ups and downs, but nothing that should really be bad. This is not one of those way out in the middle of nowhere cross-country hikes where you gotta scramble and do all this craziness. This is just a very mellow hike. Gives you a little bit of some calorie burning, and then, as I mentioned, some awesome scenery along the way. We got our typical awesome canyon live oaks. Single leaf pinions are quite common up here, and then we got our white firs, of course. And then as we're heading back down, some of the Jeffrey pines get fairly decent sized. I gotta admit, there's some pretty decent sized Jeffrey pines in this area. Of course, it's October, it's black oak season. This time last year, they were still pretty green. So I remember this Sunday last year was the 25th. I went to Palomar Mountain, where they're usually well into their fall color by now, and they were still just about all green. This year, October's been much more fall-like, at least in the mountains. Where I live, it's actually been a fairly decent October, I'm not going to lie. Usually we can have some pretty nasty heat waves. We had some hot days in October, but nothing it hasn't been that bad. It's actually been a pretty mild October. Yesterday, I think it only got up in the 60s where I live. And here we are, the pollen cones, the male / pollen cones of our beautiful Abies concolor, baby. Beautiful, nice sized white fur. Of course, we're here. Looks like it's a little past the peak. Of course, it's probably last weekend. When there are parts where I was checking out in the southern Sierras where they were nearing or at peak, and it's been about 5 or 6 days since I've been out, so might have just came over here. This one's a little bit past its peak. The leaves are starting to dry off and fall, so this is more what I would expect for this time of year. Down there in the shadier spots, the trees hold on to their leaves a little bit longer, so you get a little more color. And wow, there's a humongous Jeffrey pine in there. Oh wow, right there. That's a huge Jeffrey pine. Wow, that's a monster. Not gonna lie, that's a monster. That's a big Jeffrey pine. Might go down there a little bit closer because we're gonna junction with a dirt road. If you take the route, if you just take the direct route from Table Mountain Road, the big pull out, this huge pull out, all you have to do is just follow this the whole way up. That's all you have to do. Just follow it the whole way up the mountain. That's all you got to do. There's a sign for 4N21, partially ripped off, which is the paved road. But as you get to the top, as you get up higher up, as you get up closer to the summit, you'll see the paved road bear left, and then the dirt road bears right. When you get up closer to the summit of Peltier, the dirt road, I think 4N21 becomes the dirt road, and the paved portion is I guess becomes just the service road to the summit. I'm gonna go down here a little bit, just see what's going on down here, because there are a lot of dirt roads and trails that seem to come through this area. So not only going up to Peltier would be a pretty cool little adventure, but around here, we're going on this north-facing slope here. Things are about to get lusher, and like I said, there's quite a decent-sized Jeffrey pine. Some really hefty white firs. There's that black oak that's past its peak. Still love the architecture of black oak trees. Although I don't think there's a clear way to get to it without going off trail, but that was a tall Jeffrey pine I was talking about. Thought this might leave it closed. Well, let's see. Figure the work of the day is over, so the play of the day begins. Work of the day meaning hiking to a summit. I call it the business portion of the day. Now, I still have to hike back to my car, but I made the business of climbing up to the top. So let's see. It's quite luscious over here. Quite delectable scenery. Gorgeous over here, really. Can't go wrong here in the San Gabriel Mountains, I'll tell you. You really can't. Nice little pinyon pines up here too. So you get the drier stuff, like the single leaf pinions, mixing in with the stuff that likes a little more moisture, like the white firs. It's kind of a neat contrast. Some of these pinions, they're not really tall, but they're kind of old and have these really nice stubby, shrubby architectures that are quite attractive. Here's an old Jeffrey pine that flattened out on its top. So I imagine this area gets some fierce winds. And then we got Utah serviceberry, Amelanchier utahensis, in fall color. I know I've mentioned on some of my other plant videos, like on skunk brush, Rus aromatica, that most of our stuff typically turns yellow in fall. Yellow is a pretty typical fall color for the shrubs and trees here in Southern California, with some, of course, exceptions like skunk brush, poison oak, creek dogwood, and sometimes western chokecherry. I know a lot of western chokecherry on the way up here, and most of them were actually yellow, but in some areas they turn red and orange. And incense cedar, Calosagus decurrens, beautiful incense cedar. I didn't see a lot of incense cedar during my Sierras trip, because the way I went, I mean, I did see some, but when I went up to the Sherman Pass area, I went up from the 395 and 9 Mile Canyon Road, so I went up the east side through Kennedy Meadows. There's another incense cedar in there. Beautiful scenery out here. So yeah, I went up from that route, and on that side it's single leaf pinyon, Sierra juniper, then Jeffrey pine, flannel bush. Yeah, like over here. Very kind of similar scenery, minus the incense cedars. Incense cedars here, sometimes you'll find them even on the drier sides of the mountains. Sometimes in the desert draining canyons too. But I didn't really see incense cedar until I went down the west side of Sherman Pass, down to Kern River Canyon. That's when I started seeing incense cedar, mostly below 7,000 feet. I mostly see it below 7K here, but we're a little above it right now. A little above it, maybe about 7,300 feet. I have a feeling we're gonna have a really good viewpoint coming up. Like I said, I veered off the dirt. I'm on a dirt road right now. It probably leads back down to the desert, I would imagine. Just wanted to see if I can get a good viewpoint over here. Oh yeah. Now you can see the north side of Mount Peltier clothed in timber. Well, here, we're at this little canyon, leads down, and of course Brian didn't look up his canyons. He didn't look up his canyon, so he can't say, oh, this is such and such canyon. If I remember, look it up on the computer, on Google, well, on the topo maps, should be able to figure out what canyon this is. But you got some really nice views, all part of Table Ridge Mountain, leading down to the high Mojave Desert. Beautiful, beautiful morning out here. Actually, it's probably close to noon by now. Probably close to noon, maybe even a little later. But well, figured I'd just take some time and show this area off. It looks like old service roads all up and down this area, actually. Oh, some larger incense cedars down there. But well, I'm going to go back to the pavement and keep following my way down that. I'll see you down the way. I will have more video clips, because there's definitely a lot more to see. More of the forest. You'll pick up some really nicely forested pockets along the way down that are very scenic. So anybody wanting to do this hike, or just interested in the area, might want to check out my last few clips. And of course, at junctions, if there are any confusing junctions, I'll point them out and stuff. But I'll see you on my next clip. I'll show you some more beautiful forest in this area, some larger, heftier Jeffrey pines. So I'll see you on the next clip. Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome on another installment of my Mount Peltier hike. Now we're heading to the juicy part of the forest. Now these Jeffrey pines are absolutely phenomenal. There are some quite large trees in that canyon. There's a little ravine here. This looks like another dirt track, probably for off-road enthusiasts, going up this little gully here. But we're staying here on the paved road. Well, I'll tell you, there's some beautiful Jeffrey pines here. There's some pretty tall ones down in that canyon and on this north-facing slope coming up. Now you have beautiful trees here. And you'll get into some larger ones. Get to some larger ones along the way. We're passing a few. But just walking past this way. It's taking some pictures too. I'm taking pictures. Passed by right there. Right around the switchback. It's that beautiful Jeffrey pine right there. Took one of those pictures where you look up at the crown from underneath. Very magnificent forest here. Here's a nice older one. Looks like it's in declining health, unfortunately. Still quite a nice size specimen. Probably about 140, probably. Maybe a little bit less. I say you want to see the really tall Jeffrey pines, you're going to want to go to the Sierras, but we definitely have some awesome specimens here too. San Bernardino Mountains included. San Jacinto's higher up. A lot of their western forest is Ponderosa, I believe, in the San Jacinto Mountains. But like I say, you get a little undulation. Got a small little uphill stretch right here, but it's nothing that's gonna be too bad. It's very gentle, and glad I came here when I did, because there are a lot of beautiful oak trees. They're kind of scattered. You kind of have pockets of them here and there, of the black oaks, Quercus kelloggi. It's an old Jeffrey pine that fell a long time ago, it looks like. Oh, yeah. Some magnificent trees here. Just the nice, tall, upright trees. And you get some with those flatter tops. Pretty common for these Jeffrey pines when they get older, or they're growing in very harsh, windy areas. But the fact that most of these trees are, well, at least the ones in the canyons, are narrower, probably get some more shelter from the craziness of the winds. But during on these more exposed parts here, trees are a little shorter, broader, and flatter topped. You'll see a lot of that. There's a beautiful meadow here, full of rabbit brush, and right by these trees are a bunch of younger Jeffrey pine saplings. There's some nice Jeffrey pine right there. Look at that. That's a really decent sized one. They get pretty large in parts of Angeles National Forest. Huh. There's a little bench over there. Huh, that's interesting. Didn't notice that on the way up, but I was more focused on the conversation I was having with Terry and Carol, two people I hiked up with. They didn't go all the way to the summit like I did. They turned around at maybe about a quarter of a mile below it. They didn't really show too much interest in climbing the summit. You can see there, you can see part of it's starting to get swept back on that Jeffrey pine. We're more exposed here, so you can tell which way the prevailing wind is. Windy up here, actually. Look it over towards Mountain High. Look at that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. See all that yellow and orange? Those are the black oak trees. That's all Blue Ridge right there. But yeah, you can see right by the ski area, tons of black oaks on that side of Blue Ridge. That's those little yellow specks. It's the fall color of our beautiful black oaks. Quite a scenic hike. A lot of hiking purists may not be crazy about hiking on a road, but got me to a mountain peak, so I'm not complaining. Far from it. Well, I think it's a canyon live oak. Yep. More Jeffrey pine forest on the south facing slope there. You want to see the taller Jeffrey pines? You want to check on especially the north and northeast facing canyons, especially in the canyons, on steep slopes, and sometimes canyon bottoms. That's where you'll see the tallest Jeffrey pines. Well, I'm going to save a little battery power. I'll see you on another clip. I'm going to do at least another clip, because I know there'll be some areas with black oaks. Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome to the next clip. Well, found something interesting I missed on the way up. Obviously, being conversive with the other party. There's a juniper over here. It's shaped like a California juniper, but we're kind of high for California juniper. We're above 7,000 feet. See if I can get to it without busting my butt. Let's see. There's a juniper over here. Didn't notice that. Ooh. except for California juniper over here, but yeah, shaped like a California juniper, but this could be a Juniperus osteosperma. I don't see any resin dots. There's a cone over here too. It's actually a cone right on the edge of that branch there. There's a few cones on it. This is, I'm trying to see the bark. It's kind of, it shouldn't be a Sierra juniper. I know there have been records of Utah junipers in the northeastern San Gabriel Mountains, but right in plain sight is this little juniper shrub here. I think this is a Utah juniper. It looks like it. I think we got a little Juniperus osteosperma. I can't conceive of a California juniper growing above 7,000 feet. And I think we're a little above 7,000 feet still right now. Sierra juniper would be possible, but I'm trying to get a good look at the bark to see. But without the conspicuous resinous dots, I think we got a Juniperus osteosperma, a little Utah juniper up here on the slopes of Mount Peltier. Very interesting. I did not expect this. Did not expect to find a juniper up here. Here are the little fleshy cones that they get. And the shrub smells wonderful. So yeah, looks like we got a Juniperus osteosperma. I did not expect to see this. Now I'm even more glad I came out today. I was coming close to just staying home and resting this weekend, but boy, am I glad I came out today. Right along 4N21, the service road to Mount Peltier. There is an actual juniper over here. I'm glad I noticed it on the way down. And I just barely stopped filming a very short distance back. Look at this. Yeah, so we got a little Juniperus osteosperma along the 4N21 service road. Aren't there any more? Well, that one gets pollinated, so there's got to be another juniper somewhere around here. Maybe there's a population. I'll have to post this voucher on CalFlora when I get home. So I don't remember seeing any vouchers for junipers in this area. Interesting. Check out my April 4th, 2020 spotlight on trees on Utah juniper to get a more detailed account of what they look like when they get larger. Junipers can get a lot larger than that, but I'm kind of surprised. Well, besides Juniperus californica, in the high desert parts of the San Gabriels, and other parts, that's the only other type of juniper I've seen in Los Angeles County besides Juniperus californica. Now I know Juniperus grandis, the Sierra juniper, is supposed to be found in parts of LA County as well. I think you would find that along the trail up to Iron Mountain from Heaton Flat. I think there's supposed to be Sierra junipers along there. I've never done that trail because it's definitely beyond my fitness capability. It's a really long hike, and it's got probably about 7,000 feet of elevation gain on a very narrow, loose scree slope. So I've never done it, but I've seen other people's videos. I could have sworn I saw Sierra junipers along the trail they were hiking. But yeah, looks like we got a little Juniperus osteosperma. First time I've ever seen it in the San Gabriels. I've seen it a couple times in the San Bernardinos, but seeing it here in the San Gabriels, especially on the Los Angeles County side of the line, it's even more interesting. Now I know you can find it here in LA County. I know they have vouchers for it in the eastern San Gabriels, further eastern San Gabriels, but yeah, here we are, LA County, Juniperus osteosperma. Now I need to shut down the video and get some photos for uploading to CalFlora, because I definitely plan on adding this voucher. So, I guess I'll keep getting some pictures, and then I'll keep hiking and keep you updated on the way down Mount Peltier. Hello, this is Brian again. Still working my way down, in and out of pockets of forest and then pockets of upper montane chaparral. Beautiful black oaks, just looking so nice. Sorry if this gets a little bright here, but just the sun through the trees definitely creates a beautiful look. And this oak tree is still in the middle of changing. Beautiful, man. And these black oaks here, I'm gonna round the bend a little bit, then I'll aim the camera more at them. Ooh, get a good view towards Mount San Jacinto, right over there. You can see the marine layer clouds down there. That's Mount San Jacinto. Wow. There we are. Beautiful Quercus kelloggi, California black oak. I just usually just call them black oaks. But I enjoy seeing them this time of year. Now, there was one along the way that had some tinges of reddish in the leaves. Hopefully I should be able to find that on the way back. But yeah, this is part of Angeles National Forest where you get the black oak trees. So that in itself makes this area very special. So once you go past Vincent Gap, you don't really see black oaks anymore in Angeles National Forest. There's that canyon. Look at that, beautiful. Looks like there's a little wash, little gully wash here. Let's carve a little gully in there. You see, we come out of the pockets of trees more into, ooh, little chipmunk. Love these. I've seen a lot of chipmunks today. No gray squirrels, but a lot of little chipmunks. There's a water tank down there. That is a very nice hike. a lot of level stretches, some gentle ups and some gentle downs. It gets a little steeper as you get closer to Mount Peltier. Get closer to the top, but it's just enough to get you huffing and puffing just a little bit. Look at that. Spectacular north-facing slope there. Covered in pines and firs. Then you got this canyon here. Just outstanding. Get you up to the Table Mountain facility. The peak is just a little ways up there. That's for Table Mountain itself, which, as far as I know, is private property, so I don't think you're supposed to hike to the summit. So, unless you work at that place or has permission, I don't think you're supposed to go up there. I know I've read on Peakbagger, a lot of people do, anyways. But it's a really neat area. The little black oak thickets here. These trees are probably a little later to change because they're, I think, more in the, some of them are more in the shade of the other trees. Notice the trees that are in the shade color a little bit later than the ones in full sun. That's what I've noticed in general about trees. You'll see lots of trees that are in the full sun and they'll all be colored, and the ones in the shade will at least have other trees partially shading them. They'll change a little bit later. Yeah, it's been a very pleasant, peaceful walk. I've only seen a few people today. The two I was hiking with, and then a couple others. Not super busy. Today's a Sunday. That seems to be a lot of people's hiking days. I guess maybe they do the opposite of what I do. Their first day off, which is normally Saturday, they might do chores or kick back, and then Sunday go out for a drive, ride, or hike. Me, my days off right now are Sunday, Monday, so I do my stuff, my hiking stuff, on the first day. So then tomorrow I have a little chance to kick back and relax. But of course, do stuff like laundry and, you know, little incidentals like that. It's such a beautiful area. I love being around the black oaks. There's a lot of nice canyon live oaks here too, on the shrubbier side. They can form these little gnarly multi-trunk thickets. Black oaks do too. A lot of these black oaks are multi-trunk trees. Most of them are, actually, I think. You see those down there. Predominantly multi-trunked. Which is very common for our California oaks to be multi-trunked. I live back east, where I used to live in New Jersey for 8 years. A lot of the oaks there are single trunk. Most of the oaks there are single trunk trees. But these trees are adapted to the dry climate, fire, drought, and have big root burrows where they can resprout. And they can resprout and look. I think it's like here. Here's a perfect example. This area I think was touched by a fire. You can see all those yellow bushes. Those are all resprouted black oaks. So those will probably end up having multi-trunks too when they get larger. I can hear the wind whispering in the oak leaves. Very serene sound. There's just something awesome about these black oak trees. And what the name implies, correct this time, you know, sometimes common names in botany can actually be confusing, but being a member, but this oak, this black oak, is actually a close relative of the black oak in the eastern half of the country, and that's Quercus velutina. So they're closely related to those oaks. Those oaks back east, they usually get more of a deep reddish fall color, sometimes with some yellow. We're coming up on one oak that I saw some red hues on, some slight reddish hues. Every now and then you'll get that here. You'll get some black oaks with some reddish leaves on them. Some I saw along Sherman Pass Road, west of Sherman Pass, that actually some of the trees themselves had more of a reddish orange cast. Like this one right here. This one's got some reddish hues in it. Very slight reddish hues. It's nice, very nice to see. There's the main mountain high ski area. But yeah, as I was saying, black oaks back east, a lot of them get a reddish brownish color. Or at least sometimes a pretty decent scarlet as well. But you'll see a lot of those. Most of those trees are single trunk, the Quercus velutas. I used to see them a lot back east. Had them a lot in my neighborhood. But here we go. This used to be an old black oak tree that is now resprouted from the fire, turned into a black oak thicket. So it'll start off looking like shrubs for quite a while. And eventually it'll become these picturesque multi-shrub trees. And I think that's really cool. Multiple trunks on them. It just looks so rugged and I'm just going to keep on hiking. Should be back to the car, so this will probably wrap up my clips for this. I basically showed you the gist and the awesome views and the fall color trees and the beautiful Jeffrey pines. So this will probably do it for my video set. Thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed seeing this. You got to come out here and check it out for yourself. It's stunning beauty out here. I'll see you on my next adventure. You hear the noise of Angeles Crest Highway just down below. So means I'm getting closer. Got a little uphill coming up, so I think this will do it for me. And I'll see you on my next hiking adventure.